welcome to my channel, I guess. Um, this is basically my story of how I survived almost a month in quarantine with COVID. So this is just going to be my retelling of everything. I mean, there's really not much to tell. And I will be looking down from time to time just so I can get my dates straight. Okay, so basically this kind of started on the July 1st. I got a slight fever that morning, and by midday I knew I had a fever. So, like a lot of people, I'm not working. So I had a chance to stay in. I took my temperature. It was about 99.1, I think. So I ended up taking some Tylenol and pretty much just had a 24-hour fever with fatigue, and which, comes with the fever. You get tired. So I had that for about 24 hours. And then I had a cough, which I believe started Friday, June 26th. So the cough just kind of came all of a sudden. I thought it was because I had fallen asleep with wet hair, and yeah, that sometimes will give me a cough the next morning. But it kind of lingered, it kind of stayed. So 4th of July, I was just, deciding whether or not I should go out or not, which now thinking in retrospect, I should have just stayed home. But I was with small members of my a small group of my family, and we were all wearing our masks at this family get together, and which we were. I'm glad we were wearing masks. And I just felt off most of the day. I just kind of felt a little off, and I had decided, well, going back, I had decided that the previous day, so Friday, July the 3rd, I had decided to make an appointment because just something was off, and I thought, well, it doesn't hurt to get tested, even though I did have the symptoms, so might as well get tested. So, okay, now the 6th. On the 6th, I had a morning appointment. I really didn't think too much of it. I was expecting to go take the test, go get the test done. And it was a rapid test, by the way, so it was going to be done within 15 minutes. I was going to get my results in 15 minutes. So I went to go take the test. And while I was waiting, I was kind of planning the rest of my day. I was going to go to the store, and then I was going to go to the market. I was going to come home. I was going to, do some exercising. And that's when the doctor was going to call back. Because I didn't officially see somebody. I just had somebody take the swab. I was able to be in my car at this urgent care, so that was a plus on them. And so the doctor called me with the results and said, well, you tested positive. And it was just a big shock to me, because I think, I think most people just think that it just can't happen to you, but it can. At this point, I hadn't had a fever since July 2nd, and this was the 6th. So that technically was my last day of heavy symptoms. That was it. That was all I had gotten. So I was just left with a lingering cough, and I don't know if this is just me, but the cough lingers a really long time. It takes a long time to get rid of a cough. So, yeah, that was really hard. It was really hard to come home that day because I was just terrified of mostly what everybody was gonna tell me, and I was just terrified to come home because I didn't want my family to have to deal with this. I mean, I was very, very guilty. I felt very, very guilty that I was bringing this mystery disease into the family home. So I had called my cousin, I think, and no, the first person I told was my boyfriend, who I had just seen on Sunday. So I had to notify him. And the first thing I said was, don't go away from the phone. I just have to tell you this straight out. I tested positive. And he initially thought I was kidding, and I was kind of just emotions everywhere. I was like, no, I don't think I was gonna kid about this at all. I wasn't gonna be joking about this one. And I called my cousin who knew I was waiting for the test results, and then I came home, which the urgent care that I went to was like a 2-minute drive from my house. I came home and I think I initially called my mom. So I told her and I said, well, I'm coming home right now and we'll figure this out. So don't be near me when I get home. And I had my mask, obviously. So I got home, I came into my room, I closed the door, and from the stress of it all, I just started crying because that meant I had to inform my family who I had seen over the weekend. And I didn't want to be the one to have to call because I knew, or I guess I didn't know, but I just had a horrible feeling that I was gonna get, the feeling of blame laid at my feet, which, obviously it's harmful, it's angering, and it's hurtful, but also, you kind of, whoever the person is, you kind of have to take a little bit of responsibility for it. So I had to deal with my responsibility. So I called, made the phone calls. My mom helped me as well, and I didn't let anybody come near me. I didn't want anybody to come near me because I didn't want anybody else to get sick. So that was that first day. Even though I was feeling fine, I was ready to, run the mile. It's only a figure of speech, really. I hate running. But that's how not terrible I felt. I just had a cough that wasn't dry, by the way. So it wasn't a typical normal symptom of COVID. I had a cough, but it wasn't dry. So my mom and my aunt, who I live with, got busy cleaning everything and spraying Lysol over everything, wiping everything with Clorox wipes, and just, anything that I had touched, anything I'd been around. And my mom thankfully was off of work for a few days. She ended up having to call them saying, hey, I need more time off because I have to basically she had to cater to me, which I felt extreme guilt over as well, because, my mom takes care of me all the time, and she didn't need I just felt so able-bodied that it just didn't feel like I should, but I needed to stay away from everybody. So, my uncle and my mom are the only ones who are technically were going into work, so The next day, my uncle stayed home and we scheduled appointments for testing for my mom and my uncle. My aunt waited a little bit. But just so I don't make this a really long story, they all came back negative, and they stayed negative throughout my whole quarantine, which I thank God that it all happened that fast and I was able to not feel so guilty because, they ended up being negative. And so I was very, very thankful. And after I found that out, when everybody in the house was, declared COVID free pretty much, except for me, obviously, I felt a burden lifted off my shoulders. That's pretty much all of the action that I saw, I guess. The rest of the month was, just sitting and waiting pretty much. Oh, so going back, I had gotten tested for COVID on the 6th. And so they basically said quarantine for 10 days. That was what I was told, quarantine for 10 days. And then, I don't know. I don't remember if they said you'll be fine to come out or I don't think they said to get retested, but they just told me quarantine for 10 days. So that's what I did. And I honestly, I felt that I should get retested after that. But I was pretty much, pushed a little bit more by members of my family, the household. So I decided to go get tested again, or retested, on the 16th, which would have been 10 days after my initial test, and it came back positive. I was hoping that it would come out negative, but more about that later. So, I just, after that, I didn't really know what to think, because, after 10 days, I wasn't reading too much into it. I wasn't reading a lot up on it, so I decided to see my primary care physician, and I got an appointment with her the following Tuesday. And it was a Zoom meeting, obviously, so I got the appointment, and that was a struggle in itself. I had a 9 a.m. appointment for a Zoom conference, and I never got the ID, the meeting ID, and I was calling on the phone, and it took a good 8 minutes before I even got to somebody, and then they were, trying to it was back and forth, and then, eventually they said, just answer this number and they'll give you this, they'll call you in a few minutes. While I was on the phone with the current assistant helping me, another assistant was calling me, and so I missed the call, and then that meant another 8 minutes of holding before I even got a hold of somebody. Basically, the time of my meeting was the whole appointment time, because it said it was only like a 20-minute appointment. The whole appointment time was over by the time I even got the information that I needed. But eventually I got to see my physician right after that. And the first thing she asked me is, why did I get tested twice? And I, filled her in with the details and everything. And she basically won't bore you with all the details because it was a really long session. But she basically ended up quarantining me for 14 days, starting with the date of my most recent test. So I basically asked her if I had just come to you after my first test, I would have just had a solid 14 weeks of quarantine. Or, sorry, 14 days. 14 weeks. So I would have ended my quarantine on July 20th. So that meant that my official end date was July 30th. So if you do your math, that's an extra 10 days. I think I was internally screaming when she had mentioned that. I was very not happy. Okay. So eventually did my time pretty much, which is what it felt like. Stayed in my room, updated my resume, searched for jobs, watched TV, watched movies, played games on my phone, had a lot of Google Duo calls with my family, my godkids, and talked to my mom through the window. So, hey, if you're wondering how I talk to my mom, or if I talk to anybody, well, really my mom, because she's the only one who comes in here.
The only one that's courageous. That's courageous.
The only one that's courageous, I guess.
Now smiling.
She's smiling, you can't tell. But this is my window to my room. So, yeah. I'm glad you can't see everything. Because I look like crap right now, so. It was an experience I don't want to repeat. Quarantining by yourself is worse than quarantining for the original quarantine we had, that nobody could go out anywhere. I mean, I don't mind not going out, but not leaving my room was a little bit more difficult. I'm very happy I kept my sanity. My family was there for me, and I chose not to put it out there on social media because I honestly don't know why I didn't say it from the beginning. I know today, my last day, my official day out, I did post something on my Instagram story. Other than that, I think it was because it was so not severe. It wasn't severe. It was the least severe I could think a coronavirus symptoms could be. I think it's just because I know a lot more people out there have it way harder. You know, they can't breathe. They need a machine to help them breathe. And that they really, you know, some people leave their home and they're really alone. I had my family here, and I had my family bringing me food, bringing me little care packages, you know, calling me every single day just to check up on me, messaging me and seeing how I was doing. And, you know, I was so lucky, and I felt so blessed. And throughout this whole thing, I never felt afraid that I was going to lose my life. I know I did break down the first day. It was just tough information to take in. It was really hard to adjust to the fact that, yes, I had it. But if it hadn't been for my mom's comfort and strength and support, I don't think I would have come out of this smiling. So right now, I kind of want to take this moment to thank everybody who, you know, sent me good vibes, good thoughts, kept me in their prayers, came to bring me food, came and assisted, was there for me, you know, whether they were on the phone or on a video call or here physically for me. So the one person who was able to be here for me constantly was my mom. I don't think I could have gotten through this without her. She came, brought me my breakfast, my lunch, and my dinner. I don't know how many bottles of water she was bringing me. Room temperature, of course. Nothing cold. Bringing me everything I needed. Buying me, crossword puzzles and coloring books, and bringing me in her magazines and talking to me through the window and wishing she could be here. And I know she went through a lot, and as a mom, she said that it was just the hardest thing for her was not being able to physically hug me and comfort me. And I guess I won't know until I'm ever a mom, but I guess that was really hard on her. And oh gosh, and I just want to thank her for everything. Next is my cousin Jessica and all the family in the Torres household. My tia Lola, Sergio, the kids. Just thank you so much. You were there every single day. You called me to check up on me pretty much every single day. And Jessica was the first one to bring me a plate of food for one of my dinners. Thank you so much for the rice, the corn, and the fried chicken. And thank you for bringing me my care package of licorice and Vicks, and for riding on my car. And just for being there and being you. You made it a lot easier to get through. And thank you to my cousin Nicole for bringing me her really delicious homemade chicken noodle soup. And I loved it. And thank you also for being there for me and on the phone when I needed you, and just everything, that all the support, all the prayers, because I know you were praying for me. And my god kids, my little ones, thank you for messaging me when you could, and thank you for thinking of me. That's all I can think. That's all I can say. You're both amazing little people, and I just love you to death. I love you with all my heart. Thank you to all my family who sent prayers to me and my family, and just keeping me in your thoughts, and just making sure that checking up on me, checking up on my mom, making sure that we were okay. From the bottom of my heart, it just makes everything better. I truly, truly feel blessed to have my family as my family. And one final person who was there for me whenever I needed it, whenever I needed support, whenever I needed to talk, when I got so incredibly bored, and when I couldn't, and when things got so difficult that, I couldn't take it anymore and I had to cry. The person who just heard every single thing, every complaint, and everything I was happy for, and every feeling I had. To my loving boyfriend, Juan, babe, I just love you so much. Thank you so much for being there for me when you could. And just thank you for being you. I wouldn't have gotten through this without everybody's help. And I just love each and every one of you, and I hope things are going well for everybody right now too. Okay, so a quick little thank you to other people, my tias, my tia Lola, my tia Lupe, my tia Lacey, my tia Carol, and everybody else, my cousins, um, Jacqueline, Boo Boo, um, everybody who called me. Oh, Dad, thank you for checking up on me. I thought I'd have a stroke when I thought I had a stroke when you called. um, just thank you for everybody who thought of me and just reached out to see how I was doing, because I was able. I was able. And just thank you so much for all you out there and keeping me in your prayers and just sending me good vibes and everything you did, everything to help. Just know that from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate everything and every good thought and everything you ever did for me to help me get through this, and all your well wishes and just you being who you are. I love you all. Thank you so much. Well, thank you for listening. This is my very first video. I hope there will be more now that I got a little bit of a better setup here going on here. And as always, well wishes, besitos, amores. Mwah. I love you.